It's episode 17 of my series, Buy and Try, where I find vintage dishes at the thrift store that have recipes on them, and then I make that exact recipe. Today I'm making oxtail. I didn't even know what oxtail was. It's cowtail, FYI. So this was going to be exciting, something so new, something different. So I grabbed some celery, I grabbed turnip. Somehow between the grocery store and my house, this went missing. So that is the turnip's only appearance in the video, unfortunately. Got my broth. The recipe called for a bunch of herbs. And even though this is for poultry, I got it because it had a good variety. I used the thyme, I used the rosemary, and it saved money instead of buying a bunch of individual herbs. As always with these soup mugs, they come with the ingredients, but no directions or instructions. So I looked up a few recipes to kind of have an idea of what I was doing. Still, I'm sure there's tons of room for improvement, but this is what I did. I added the flour to the oxtail and then mixed that so it was all nice and coated. And then I added that to a hot pan and let it sear till it got some color just for a couple minutes. And then I put it on a paper towel to rest, and hopefully the paper towel would absorb some of the fat and oil. That I chopped up my onion. Oh, transition, slay. I added that into the pot. Still, there was the oxtail juice all over, so it had lots of flavor. And then I had some time to kill, so I just chopped up the celery and carrot then. I wouldn't need it for a while, but you know what? I'm always prepping. I'm a preppy little bitch. Once the onion had some color, I added in the broth and my 6 little peppercorns. In the pot they go. Bye, guys. I then added the salt and the fresh herbs. I decided to go with the thyme and the rosemary. I left out the sage and the parsley because I just hate parsley. I'm team parsley should be canceled. And then I added some bay leaves and mixed everything up, gave it a good stir. I added the oxtail back into the pot. And this is where things took a long time. Every recipe was like, let this simmer for 3 hours. I was like, I got stuff to do. So I let it simmer for 2, and then I scooped it out so I could separate the meat from the bones and the fat. It smelled good. It doesn't look the best, but it smelled good. And while I was going to do that, I added in my celery and my carrots that I'd prepped before. I'm ready to go. So I was trying to separate it, but there was so much fat on it. I was like, okay, I tried my best and I thought I got most of it. So I added that back to the pot and let that simmer for another 30 minutes. This literally took my whole day. So then I removed the fresh herbs, no longer fresh, so they were dead, and let the carrots cook through. And I grabbed the peppercorns. Thankfully, they float, so I was able to just grab them, so no huge bites of pepper. And even though I tried to get all the fat from the oxtail, there was so much fat on the top. I kept skimming it, but I could not seem to get all of it. I was like, this is such a fatty soup. Fat, fat, fatty. But I did my best, and finally it was time to try this cowtail soup. Initial reaction, I burnt the fuck out of my tongue, so didn't love that. Let it cool, tried again. The broth was delicious. It was so flavorful, but when it came to the meat, it was cooked really well. It was tender, but there was just too much fat on it. That's all I could seem to really taste in the texture. Oh my gosh, I kept burning myself. So for the amount of time, I would definitely not make this again. I would try oxtail again, but I don't think I would try to cook it. I'll leave that to an expert. This one's a miss for me.